welcome to the show.
And welcome back to another episode of the Astros Future podcast here on the Believe Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Price, also known as Astros Future. You can find my work at astrosfuture.com and find me on X at AstrosFuture.
And I'm your co-host, Kenny Van Doren. You can also find me on X at The Vandalorian.
Today on the show, we're joined by a very special guest. It's Astros pitching prospect Logan VanWey. Got to hit the DJ air horns there for him. Logan, how you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Just excited. Baseball's back.
Yeah, me too.
So you've really been rolling in spring training. I know today you gave up that run, but how do you learn from that? You know, you had the 5 scoreless outings, and you come out today. You give the run, or was it yesterday? I'm sorry. Give the run up, but overall 6 innings, 1 run. How are you feeling? And for the spring, but also how do you learn from just rolling for 5 scoreless and bam, you give up the run yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, for one, learning from last outing, I'd say you just can't walk guys. The 5 innings I'd thrown with no runs, it was just pounding the zone, getting good results. When I'm throwing strikes, I'm getting a lot of weak contact, and then sometimes leading to like strikeouts. But I think just biggest thing, I got those first 2 outs. You just got to attack the third batter, and just kind of got a couple walks, little bloop hit. But it's going to happen, when you throw as much as some of us relievers do. But just kind of learning from that, just pound the zone, trust my stuff.
Still being in big league camp, this late into spring, and seeing some other guys maybe get optioned or reassigned. I mean, what does that just mean for your confidence, moving forward, especially when Dana Brown has mentioned your name before a couple times?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is always to stay here as long as you can. It's definitely been eye-opening, in a sense of like what's going on this side of things, not just minor league camp, what's going on like big league camp. But, the goal was just, stay as long as I can. I mean, you want to make the team. It's in the back of your head, that maybe there's not a spot for you right now, but maybe in the future. But, I mean, I definitely have my sights on, breaking with the team. If that doesn't happen, I had a good experience, met a lot of the guys I haven't got to meet yet, but, still trying to break with the team. If that doesn't happen, I'm very confident I'll get my shot eventually.
So I know you obviously came off a phenomenal season last year in AAA. I think you struck out over 90 in like 70 innings. Really, one of the mainstays in the bullpen. But has there been anything that you're kind of focusing on this season, like for your arsenal, or any new additions or changes to any of your pitches?
Yeah. So last year, I feel like I had all my pitches working except one. It was really just my changeup. Against righties, I'm confident going 4-seam, sinker, cutter, slider. Lefties, I have a really good 4-seam. It's kind of deceptive to lefties. But if I can just add my changeup in, because I'd usually be cutter 4-seam. And whenever a lefty's up, they can just sit on one pitch. 50% chance you're going to see 4-seam or cutter. So the big thing this offseason was just really focus on my changeup location, because it's always been a good pitch shape. There's a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of horizontal run, but I just wasn't getting a lot over the plate. So my big focus was just, I want to eliminate misses off the plate. I want it to be below zone. So if I can just think, change up inside to a lefty, and especially this spring training, I've had a lot of success with it. I've had a couple swing and misses. I've had a lot of takes on it, but that was probably the biggest thing this offseason.
You kind of mentioned the deceptive, and I've pointed that out a few times. Like it's not like your fastball is hitting 96, but you got that deceptive delivery. Has that always been a thing for you? Like even going back to like little league, or did you kind of pick it up later on?
Yeah, no, I love talking about it. I'll go back and look at pictures of me throwing when I was a kid, and it's always just been a little funky. I think the older I've gotten, and the more I've tried using my body, like using my legs a little more, staying over the rubber. It's gotten a little more deceptive and funky. But it's just how I felt comfortable throwing. I feel pretty smooth throwing the ball. Like I keep saying that. It doesn't feel like I'm doing anything weird, but I'll see still pictures of me throwing, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm that weird, but it just looks uncomfortable and awkward. But when I'm throwing the ball, it just feels so smooth. So I'm like, it's working. I don't need to change anything. It's kind of my thing at this point, just, a different look out of the bullpen. But it's kind of, I enjoy talking about it, because it's something that, it's kind of always been like a staple of who I am as a pitcher.
I remember one time you joked with me, it looks like you've just never thrown a baseball before.
Yeah.
When you were pitching, I think right when you got to AAA in 2023.
Uh-huh.
And that's a place I just want to go back real quick. A lot of people don't know you had kind of a funny story when you got up to AAA at the end of that year. I remember there was like donuts in the locker room and you're the only one to go after one. You got called in and you thought you were in trouble there. I mean, can you just walk us through that story real quick? And then talk about, the call up to big league camp, the call like before you arrived for spring training. And I mean, were you a little bit anxious too, possibly getting that call?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the season was over. I had all my stuff packed. I was like an hour and a half away from my hometown in Joplin, and I think I had like one outing, and it was like Wednesday or Thursday before we knew we were going to leave. Me and Will Wagner, and there's just like a box of donuts, like there usually is. Sometimes in the morning, someone will go out buy donuts for the guys, and I just walked in, grabbed one, and the coach called me in his office. And I didn't know if it was like I wasn't supposed to take one or if it was just like something I did. I'm quiet. Like I don't really go around saying too much about myself, and I don't really leave the hotel room. So I'm like, there's no way I did anything wrong. Like, what is this for? But he just pulled me in and kind of told me I was going to AAA for a week. And I mean, that was a good thing. I was high AA the whole season and ending in AAA. I was like, oh wow, like I was happy just ending in AA on the season and ending in AAA. That's for my first season. That's a big accomplishment. But fast forward to that next spring training, and I didn't know where I was going to be. If it was going to be AA, if it was going to be AAA. I mean, I was only there for a week, and then had a good year in AAA. But yeah, it was in the back of my mind that I might be invited to big league camp. Usually a lot of the AAA guys get invited, but the season that I had, I was pretty confident that I would get this opportunity. But I mean, you never want to expect things. You always want to kind of like, I mean, not really expect them and just think you have to earn them and work hard for it. But I was actually at the gym. I just got done throwing a bullpen, and I was biking a little bit, and I got a call that I was going to big league camp. And I was like, first thing I thought was, I got to tell my girlfriend, I got to tell my family. Like, we were all kind of expecting it, but it's exciting telling them that news that, it's kind of a sigh of relief that like we've been expecting this, but now it's finally happening, and we can get ready for it. But I mean, as soon as I got that call that I'm going to big league camp, I was just like, all right, I've been working my butt off all off season, but like now it's time to really get to the grindstone. And I was just pumped. I was like, things are starting to happen the way that I envisioned them. And I mean, it's been an awesome experience so far.
You mentioned getting to meet a lot of the guys that you didn't get to meet prior, just being in big league camp. But a lot of people I know want to ask, where's your locker, or who you're next to. But has there been anyone that you've kind of been talking with a lot outside of your AAA teammates from last year or the previous teammates, maybe that guys that were on the big league roster, and just kind of learning from those guys with the major league experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's comfortable because there's a lot of guys from AAA that got called up last year into under the big league team. So it wasn't a locker room that I was like unfamiliar with. I mean, a lot of those guys, I knew who they are, but they don't know who I am maybe. But I mean, there hasn't been one person so far in the big league clubhouse that I haven't been able to like feel comfortable with going up to. Like everyone, it's a super welcoming environment, kind of almost like the AAA clubhouse we had last year. Like everyone's just having fun. We're having a good time. Everyone's like very grateful with the opportunity that we have. But it's just everyone's just been really nice. I'm next to Colton Gordon in the locker room. So we've been talking a lot. Like he was with my friends going through the system. So that's been cool. But just like getting to talk to Josh Hader, Hunter Brown, I've known Spencer pretty well. Me and Forrest have a good relationship, just all of those guys, getting to see, some of the ones who I hadn't met, like Jeremy Pena and some of the other guys. But it's cool. And, it was something I thought that I was like, well, maybe like, I won't feel like I know everybody. Cause there's people you invite into big league camp, but like day one, everyone feels like I've known them forever. Like it's a really good environment right now.
Being with those guys that you won 2 championships with, 2 titles down there in AAA, and a lot of evaluators, especially prospect minor league talent evaluators, will sometimes say winning doesn't really matter at that level. You guys are just developing. When you have like that winning mentality and just you've got that taste of it already behind you, I mean, how does that kind of just help you mesh at that next level with an organization that's just kind of been built around championships over these past 6 to 7 years?
I mean, it just shows that, we know how to win. The whole year last year, I mean, it was every series we were going in and we were steamrolling everybody. I think it just means one, we know how to win, and we're taking everything that we got from last year going into this season, and taking it into the big league clubhouse, and just trying to just keep doing our thing that we did last year. But I mean, last year was definitely the most fun season I've ever had. Everyone was just super close. Every single day we were going to the ballpark. Like, it's a long season, and I'm sure for some people it can be kind of a drag, but I think everyone was like super excited to get into the clubhouse every single day, just because everyone was so close and we had a lot of fun. So I think that's a big thing we're going to carry into this year, is just, keep having fun with our group and, kind of rubbing off on everyone else.
So I know the everyone contributed, obviously, that championship team, the hitting, the pitching, the starters, but the bullpen kind of felt like the mainstay throughout the entire season, with you and Whitley and Wander Suero and all the guys that went through there that were putting up ridiculous numbers. So what was that like, being a part of that bullpen? That it kind of felt like when the game got to the 6th or 7th inning and Sugarland was up, it was over.
Yeah, we joked with Mickey's, just saying, like, you could close your eyes and pick someone's name on the roster and call them in to go throw. Like Luis, Forrest, me, Brian King, Suero, Tamarez, Ray Gaither, everybody. I mean, if we were winning in the 3rd inning and the starter got into a jam, which usually didn't even happen, we could just go back to back to back in the bullpen. And it was cool because, one, I got to learn from some vets, like Parker Mashinsky was there, Seth Martinez, Wander Suero, all of those guys I got to learn from, like how to prepare myself. Things as small as like knowing the starter's pitch count to know when to get ready. Maybe it's the 5th inning and he's at 65, 70 pitches and his pitch count is like at 80. Just small things like that. But, it was an environment with a lot of vets, and I got to learn a lot. But I mean, we were all just very successful because we knew that if we weren't going to be able to cover innings that day, someone else is going to be able to. But I mean, more times than not, we were going back to back to back. Everyone was having a good inning, and no, it was just a good year. Just kind of it was easy. It was kind of an easy job for Mickey, as we were giving him a hard time for it. But I mean, he did a great job managing us too.
I got a quick one just to follow up on just that competitive nature too. I don't think a lot of people know like how much those titles meant to Mickey Story and how much he wants to win, especially just being at that level. He's got a taste in the major leagues, but he's kind of been a mainstay in the Astros system at the minor league level. Can you just talk about just his competitive nature and just wanting to win with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, like it's definitely a thing in minor leagues to just want to develop players, but I mean, at the AAA level, you're one call away from going to the big leagues. And I mean, the biggest thing in the big leagues is winning games. That's the goal. And for him, his thing is, we're here not only to get better, but like our biggest thing is winning, so that whenever you go up to the big league team, what a winning culture is like, what you have to do to win. And I mean, I think it worked out last year for us all, because we saw the results that we had. We won the PCL, we won the AAA national championship. And I mean, everything that he did, like every move that he made, was for us to not only like be put in the best position to get better and to learn from our experience in the minor leagues, but also, for the team to win, and for us to be in a position to where we can help the team win in whatever, aspect it is.
Everyone's confident in their abilities, especially at this point, y'all making it up to AAA spring training. But knowing what you've done already to prove a lot of people wrong, going undrafted and now knocking on the door of the big leagues and having a really good spring to this point, 6 innings, 1 run. What does that mean to you to kind of prove, not prove the haters wrong, but going undrafted and now being where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, I had the confidence in myself that not a lot of people had, but that's just something that you got to have, when you're in a position like this. You don't make it far in professional sports, or from my personal experience, if you don't have some kind of confidence or some kind of edge. It was kind of a thing in, high school. I think I gave up like 3 runs in my senior year, and I had like 30 innings. And I tried out for NAI schools. I tried out for JUCOs, and it just seemed like no one wanted me. Fast forward, I'm at a Division II school and not really hearing a lot from scouts. I mean, I had some show up, but as Jim Stevenson said a couple times, like, they would just walk away. I don't know if it was they didn't like what they saw, they didn't like the mechanics, or just something small. But I think, I mean, I look back a lot, and I'm thinking, you know, it kind of made me the pitcher I am, and kind of have that chip on my shoulder. Like I wouldn't want a different path. Like, I think this path has made me who I am, you know, and I'm pretty grateful for it. And I think that a lot of times it kind of puts me in perspective of, I set out to do something and I say I'm going to do it. And when I accomplish it, you know, it just kind of keeps me driven, because I know I can keep doing these things. Even if people don't believe in me, like, if I have the confidence I can do it, then I think I can keep doing it.
That's a perfect segue too, Logan, because my final question before we get into some of these fun ones was about Jim. And, you know, I've known him for quite a few years now. And that was the story he told me, like, right when we were kind of seeing your rise through AA and getting up to AAA in 2023, he told me, like, when he went to scout you the first time, you know, some scouts were leaving and said, you know, just keep moving. And he kind of came in and realized, you know, you fit the Astros mold. You know, you had a different look to you that a lot of pitchers don't have. What is, like, your relationship just kind of been like with him, you know, ever since? I know we've talked about it just off air, but what kind of just made him, you know, the perfect guy to sign you?
Yeah, I mean, we still talk all the time. Like, he'll call me every couple months just to catch up. I mean, it's just things as small as, like, he's just checking to see how I'm doing. Like, how's camp doing? Like, how's your arm feeling? How are you doing mentally? Like, how's the family? I mean, I don't think I could have asked for a better guy to be scouted from, you know, just because, I mean, they go around, see a lot of guys, but once you get signed, I mean, you don't have to stay in contact with him. It's kind of like a choice that he made, you know, to just keep checking on me, which I really appreciate. But no, it's been awesome. I don't know if he came to a couple of my games. I think he said he came to watch me a couple of times in college. And I was just driving to Montana, and he had texted me, and he was asking me if I wanted to go throw at Minute Maid. And I was like, well, of course, like, why would I not want to? You know, I'll quit this indie ball team if it means I can go throw at Minute Maid. And then that was the first time I met him, was there, and then we just stayed in contact ever since. But I mean, he's just been the perfect guy to, you know, to scout me and to stay in contact with. He's been great.
So you talk about the indie ball, and was that following that last year of college, and then was it in the summer, or was that later on in the year?
Yeah, it was right after my 5th year in college. I think it was literally 2 days after our last game. We had lost out in the playoffs of college. And the next day I packed my stuff, and then the following day I was driving 26 hours to Montana. Oh, wow. It was kind of a thing that if I didn't get picked up from a professional team, like an affiliate, I had a job professionally playing baseball. But if I did get picked up, like I did, they could just sign me out of there. But it was still a cool experience. I got to see a different part of the country I've never gone to. But yeah, it was kind of a backup plan if I didn't get picked up. But just, again, like, another experience I'm grateful for.
I hate to keep piling on, just making you go back in the memory bank, but I got 2 more on that. Can you tell us, you know, about when you got that call? Because I know that's kind of a fun story too, when you were standing in the parking lot of that just hotel in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they knew I was one of the guys that was looking to get picked up or had been in contact with some teams. I'd actually gotten a call from the White Sox in the 10th round, and me and my dad and my agent at the time were pretty confident I was about to get drafted. So we were like, Dad, like, turn on the TV. I'm about to get drafted. It never happened. So that was another one of those times that is just like, you know, you feel like something's going to happen. It doesn't go your way. And then I'm like, all right, well, you know, kind of some more motivation, you know, maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe there's some things that I need to work on. But they knew that I was one of the guys that was, you know, looking to get picked up. And the whole bus ride, we were going to Idaho, and I was in contact with a couple teams, and we get to the lobby, and I get a phone call, and everyone just kind of looks at me and turns their head. So I walk outside, and it was Jim Stevenson, and everyone's just kind of looking around the corner. They're getting their cars to go to the room, and they were just waiting in the lobby to see what I had to say, and just, like, give them a thumbs up, like, it's a good phone call. And, you know, they were all really excited for me. But it was a long bus ride, you know, talking to multiple teams, nothing was happening. And Jim called me, which I think ended up working pretty well.
Definitely. It's always a fun one to hear again.
Yeah.
And going into these just fun questions, I want to start off with a pretty easy one. I think I saw a video of you taking batting practice when they did pitcher BP. Did you get to partake in that at all at AAA? I think you guys did it maybe for one weekend.
Yeah, I think that video was in Albuquerque. I think we just thrown like a shutout. So Mickey let us take some batting practice. I didn't think my swing was that bad. I mean, I was a PO since my sophomore year of high school, and I put one off the wall, which I was pretty proud of myself for that. But yeah, I guess the thing is, if you throw a shutout, you earn pitchers batting practice. So that was one of the times I got to do that.
So out of those pitchers that took BP though, who was the most impressive?
Connor Green. He
Just an
hit a
athlete.
home run. Yeah, he was a good athlete. He hit a home run there. He's a lefty too, which we didn't know. Another thing about Connor we didn't know. He hit a home run, and Mickey ended up letting him take batting practice at every stadium we went to after that because he wanted to hit a home run everywhere we went to. And I think he ended up doing it too.
Yeah, Albuquerque's a good place to probably take BP anyways.
Yeah, I didn't hit a home run there, so I don't think I was going to hit one anywhere else. I can't hit one in Albuquerque.
So speaking of BP, but yeah, I know you've obviously in big league spring training gotten the opportunity to face some of the major league players, but other Astros players as well. But who's kind of been the toughest hitter you faced this spring on the Astros side?
On the I haven't really got to face anyone in live batting practice other than some of the minor league guys. Just one time, because every day now, if instead of a bullpen like most starters would do, I'm in a game.
Gotcha.
So I'm getting a lot of my reps in games, which my first outing was bases loaded, 1 out, or I think it was, bases loaded, 1 out against the Mets, and I got to face Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, and Pete Alonso. So
That gets right there.
Yeah, that's about as tough as it gets. A high leverage situation. But yeah, I mean some of the coaches have joked about it gets easier from here. And I had gotten decent results from that. But I would say, since I haven't really faced anyone from the Astros side, that was one moment. I wasn't nervous. I'd say I was really just excited. All right, these are some big leaguers. Let's see what I can do. I'd say that was a moment. I'm like, all right, I'm in big league camp. It's go time. I'm not in AA and AAA anymore. This is people like Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, again, Pete Alonso, guys that you hear growing up and you're watching play when you're in college, and now you're facing them.
For sure.
So I wanted to ask you this question, but then I actually did some research and got some more behind it. So if you do miss anything in this answer, I do have some things to plug the holes. But you played soccer in high school, and I know there's a lot to this story.
Yeah.
So can you just tell us about just your soccer career?
How in the world did you find that? Yeah, so my senior year of high school, our coach wanted us pitchers to get into shape. So it was either football or soccer, and I wasn't going to risk anything with football, so I ended up playing soccer. And given that I hadn't played soccer since I was 4, they put me on the junior varsity team, and I was 18 going against freshmen in high school, and some of them ended up being girls. And yeah, I was on the JV team as a center back, so I was right in front of the goalie. And I mean, I was decent. I mean, as decent as a 6'2" guy can go against freshmen in high school. Definitely got me into shape, but yeah, that's funny. Our goalie, anytime they would kick it and he would block it, we had a thing we would do where he would toss the ball up and I'd kick it as far as I could. And that ended real quick when I accidentally got an assist because I kicked it to their team and they scored. But that sums up my soccer experience in high school, my quick career. But yeah, that's kind of why I ended up playing soccer. It was fun. I was in good shape, but it wasn't something I saw myself doing after that.
I will add some extra parts to this. I was told you looked like a bull in a china closet when you were playing soccer.
Who said that?
I believe your brother told me this. And so Chris also mentioned that, the scoring, the own goal was the biggest, the favorite thing among everyone on the team that year. And you hadn't played since you were 5. So that was everything that he added.
Yeah.
In there.
Oh yeah. I forgot. I did score on my own team. It wasn't necessarily my fault. I was passing it to the goalie, and I guess I had a stronger leg than I thought, and I kind of scored. But that was actually on varsity, so that was the only time I was ever on varsity. And then after that, I never sniffed varsity again.
So, did you grow up in Joplin as well?
Yeah, I grew up
All
in
right,
Joplin.
so
I mean, my whole life, and going to college there for 5 years. So didn't really get to go anywhere else other than like summer baseball.
I'm driving up to Branson actually next week
Mhm.
for spring break, taking my
Mhm.
kids up there. So can you tell me like a local what's some local food that like, oh, you got to try this out when you're in Missouri? I've never been up there.
Local food, I would say Lambert's. It's in Springfield. So it's decently close to Branson. They're
Okay.
kind of known for throwing rolls at people. So they go around and they're just like big portions of food. I feel like anywhere in Branson though, there's a lot of places kind of like that are like some Midwest kind of food. But yeah, definitely I would say go try Lambert's out.
Cool.
Is it Missouri or Missouri?
I say Missouri. Some people, it depends on where you're from. Like if you're kind of in the like country, it's Missouri. My grandpa says Missouri.
I took a class in college about Missouri geography, and that was one of the biggest things that we had to say Missouri. Another thing here from Chris, we understand you grew up fishing and going to coin shows as a kid. What is the best memory you have from both?
Fishing. I mean, I grew up on the boat with my grandpa. We'd go fishing all the time. A lot of crappie fishing, a lot of largemouth. I would say me and my buddies in college, we went to one of our teammates' ponds in Oklahoma, and he had some like farm ponds, and we went fishing that day. We didn't catch a bass under 5 pounds, and I have pictures to prove it too. It was a day that I actually caught my biggest largemouth, and I think it was about like 10, 11 pounds, and it was on the very first cast. And I threw a weightless Senko out, and I thought I hit a log, and it started swimming, and I was like, "Oh my god, guys! I think I just caught like the biggest fish of my life." And as most big bass do, they don't fight very much. So I ended up reeling it in, and it was actually the biggest bass of my life. That was pretty cool. But yeah, coin shows. Me and my grandpa, OD, I grew up collecting coins and baseball cards. So for Christmas one year, he got me like a glass case to like display my coins and my baseball cards. And so every show, there were some places like 20, 30 minutes away, I'd go with them, and I'd put my coins and my baseball cards on display, and people come up to me, and I would negotiate a little bit with them. But yeah, that was one of my hobbies growing up.
So I've also heard that you're a pretty big golfer. So if taking yourself out of the equation, who would you? I know I know a lot of the pitchers love to golf, but who's the best golfer that you've played with? That's been on one of your Astros teammates. And
AJ
hopefully,
Blueball,
okay, I was gonna say
100%.
hopefully this doesn't get you in some fire with some guys. I mean, I see like
No.
Spencer Getty's always posting about golf, but I think I saw a little reel the other day. He said maybe he need to work on his skills. But blue ball, huh?
I haven't got to go recently. I went a lot over the off season. Yeah, me and AJ would go a lot in Nashville, but that guy can do anything. He can juggle. He can do a backflip. He can throw 100 miles an hour, and he can shoot below par in golf. Like he can do it all. But yeah, I would say AJ. We'd go golfing. Yeah, we went golfing a couple times and never remotely got close to beating him. I kind of just stopped trying after the third hole. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna try to have fun. But yeah, AJ is definitely the best guy I've golfed with.
And Blair Henley. He has a Instagram account with you guys golfing, right? And kind of keeps track of what y'all are doing in Florida.
Yeah, he has his own thing. He does a lot of like, he kind of like vlogs them. He'll like post each hole, and I think he does reviews sometimes too of some of the golf courses. He gets to go a lot of cool ones around here.
Awesome. All right, Logan. Well, that's all we got. Really appreciate you joining us on the show today.
Yeah, appreciate you guys taking the time. Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. So if you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. As always, thank you so much for listening. We look forward to having you back for our next episode of the Astros Future podcast covering your Astros in the minor league system.